As a kid, what did you think was a very normal thing to do, which it really wasn't? Having a path through the house surrounded by boxes and junk stacked to the ceiling. I grew up in a hoarder house. Occasionally us kids would run too fast through the path, knocking into the sides, and the boxes and stuff would collapse on top of us. I smiled with my lips on the inside of my mouth. I don't know how I managed to not learn how to smile properly, but I thought I was smiling normally until a kid said, "Stop smiling like that, you look weird," and I spent a good week looking up pictures of smiles and practicing how to smile. Have speed up spells where it feels like I just got off a treadmill and my internal monologue is yelling. Turns out I have epilepsy and was having seizures. Didn't realize back when I was like 7, but presented with tonic-clonics, Grand Mal, at 15. Or listen to the air vent and hear music in white noise. This was likely auditory hallucinations, also due to epilepsy. Stupid brain. My family are not comfortable around each other. Never any touching, kissing or cuddling. Any physical contact is forced and horribly awkward. No one also talks, and any disagreements simmer for years with a grudging resentment. When I first started dating my now husband, I was shocked his family would just sit close to each other, like their legs would touch on the couch. Like not overly touchy, just normal, but not normal to me. They also spoke to each other if they were upset. I was quite envious. Trusting everything people say to me. Apparently when I was a kid I used to pick up quarters on the street. My parents didn't want me doing that, so my dad told me to not pick up coins, because people put them in their butts. I didn't use change for anything until I started driving at 16. I was trained by my father to believe that a proper salami sandwich has 15 to 20 pieces of salami on it. Imagine my aunt's horror when I did that at her house, while she was putting 4 to 5 pieces on the sandwiches she was making for my cousins. The story lives on till this day, like 30 years later, no regrets. Sitting together at the table for meals, especially dinner. We frequently got McDonald's, had TV dinners, or had ramen, mac and cheese. I didn't know until I was an older teen that families actually sat down to talk to each other every day, because I thought that only happened in shows and movies. Sitting down at the table makes me uncomfortable, even to this day. Like, I don't even know how to prep the table. Jesus. I was going to say cutting pickle spears into little triangles to eat alongside your sandwich. This thread went in a way different direction. Sleeping in the display beds at the furniture store. My parents are divorced, and when we were little we'd go week to week at each parent's house. Well, my dad worked at Montgomery Ward's and opened the store maybe 3 days a week. That meant he had to be there at 5 a.m. During his weeks, he'd stuff us in the car in our jammies, and drive us up to Monkey Ward's, as he called it. Then we'd all get snug in our own display beds and sleep for another hour and a half. Once some other employees showed up and it got closer to school hours, he'd get us dressed in the dressing rooms and drive us to school. He really did love us. And tried hard for us. Building homes for snails and slugs when it rained. My older brother and I would love to go outside when it rained and collect slugs and snails to put in these little pebble shelters we'd make for them in the backyard. Wow, as a non-social kid hopping between houses I never knew how common this was. Thanks for the awards, smiley face. When you went to the sitter every day, you were to sit on the couch and never move. Seriously, my brothers, sister and I were forced to sit on the couch with the TV on at the sitter's house, while her kids ran around like a bunch of hellions. When we got a new sitter after moving, all 4 of us promptly sat on the couch and stayed there. Our new sitter pulled a bunch of toys out and sat in the floor and played with us. Using corn bags. They're cotton squares or rounds filled with dried corn. You put them in the microwave for a heating pad and the freezer for an ice pack. I still use and make them. I just didn't realize nobody else used them until like high school. LMAO edit. I'm loving all the different variations people have of this. I'm glad I'm not alone. Shoveling food into your face as quickly as possible while huddled around the TV. It wasn't until a sleepover at a friend's house that I encountered a family sitting around a dinner table talking about their day. At the time it made me super uncomfortable, but I've learned to slow down and appreciate it more with time. I remember in year 8 in school we watched a video about mental health. One of the kids said that at a low point he considered suicide. I didn't think that was a big deal, because I thought about killing myself almost every day. I thought it was normal and everybody did it. My parents have what we now know was developmental disorders but was previously known as being slow. Think it was second grade when I started doing math for my parents. We went out for shopping or dinner, then I'd check the grocery receipt or tally the tip. In more ways than one I became very independent from my parents at a young age. I didn't realize until late high school, interacting with my boyfriend's family, that normal children don't speak to their parents like equals. It was awkward to say the least. It took many years to learn how to be respectful to your elders and not throw my weight around. I had thought every kid needed to keep their parents in line. AAAWKWWW art *** edit. Just wanted to say thank you to the people who posted questions. This thread in general has hit me in the feels. Didn't realize it would be so cathartic to read and talk about childhood differences. On a lighter note, I thought everyone dipped their McDonald's fries into their shakes. The McNuggets too. Cracking open cans of beer and pouring them into styrofoam cups, so my parents could drink while they drove the car. Dying. Over the period of about a year when I was 9 to 10 years old, 4 different people on the street I lived on died unnatural deaths. The old lady next door electrocuted herself trimming the hedges. One of the neighbor kids I played with accidentally shot himself playing with his father's gun, in front of his sister. Another playmate's father was a cop and was shot and killed in the line of duty, and a 16-year-old girl was raped and murdered in her own house, never solved, even though everybody knew who did it. I also had a cousin I was close to die in a car accident, but he didn't live on the same street. So with all that I just assumed that was a normal rate of death. So naturally, I assumed that I was going to die at some point in the near future. Took a few years to get over that. My parents sleeping in separate rooms. My mom snores like crazy and I understood why my dad would hate that. Turns out, dad was gay. Being forced to eat way more than what I could, until my stomach would hurt for hours. Not traumatizing like other stuff in this post, just something I don't miss. On a lighter note, walking in stealth mode throughout the whole house all the time because I wanted to be like Pocahontas when she spies on John Smith. My dad would put chocolate frosting on a graham cracker, kinda like a s'more but no marshmallow, and it would be a treat for us for a few days, like cookies. I think it's BC. There were times we couldn't afford cookies or brownies for lunch, but we usually had graham crackers and frosting, so he made sure we had something sweet for our lunches. Edit. Wow, I went to sleep and this blew up. LMAO. Thank you all for the upvotes, awards, and the stories of your own. And for those that have never tried it, it is really good. Talking to you parents and them being affectionate. What do you mean you play board games together, and no one yells? You willingly sit down and spend time together. Dated a girl and the first time I met them, her mom hugged me. Weirded me out plenty. She just sits around the living room doing her own thing while her parents may also be there. Who even does that? Turns out, a lot of people. Not telling your family when or where you were going or what you were up to or how long you would be gone. I remember as early as 6 I was wandering off to another neighborhood and across a busy road to find playmates. As I got older, I would go to friends' houses for days on end, still never needing to check with anyone or let anyone know at home I was going. It didn't really click until I got my first roommate after college who bugged out and was about to call the cops because I went to my boyfriend's house, turned my phone off and took a long nap in the middle of the day as he worked nights. We had an argument where I kept saying, "I'm an adult, you don't need to keep track of me," and it took a while for me to understand that even adults check in with each other for safety and they don't normally just disappear for a few days. I grew up on a farm outside a small town. Didn't realize until I started going to school that running around naked outside often, playing with hatchets and pocket knives, or breaking off pieces of salt lick to suck on, were not normal things. My parents fostered 2 young girls very close to my age. The things they expected from my parents thought were normal were so sad. The eldest tried to undress for my dad. He was mortified. They thought they would get in trouble for using soap in the bath. They asked permission to get drinks of water, and to go to the bathroom. They were amazed we weren't locked in our rooms at night, amazed I had my own room and they had theirs. They didn't know what bed frames were. We're Jewish. My family used to play, Would They Hide Us? A fun dinner time conversation game where we suggest families we're friends with and figure out whether they would be willing and capable of hiding us should the Nazis ever take over America. I thought everyone did that. I thought everyone got beat by their father, so I disliked men who had kids because they probably beat their children too. Receive clothes from the church. Bug bite oil. Every night before bed, my parents would slather me in body oil because they said it kept bugs from biting me. As an adult, I realize it was just Avon Skin So Soft body oil to help with my dry, itchy skin. I was a finicky kid and didn't like the oils and lotions, so they convinced me it kept bugs away, which I obviously felt was paramount lol. Thought it was totally normal help people whose cars have broken down on the side of the road. That's what my dad always did. Stopped, asked what the trouble was, helped with repairs or a run to get more gas, gave rides, on more than one occasion bought someone a meal, and on one very memorable occasion, literally gave someone the shirt jacket off his own back. I grew up watching and participating in this, so when I started driving, I also thought it was totally normal for me to stop for disabled cars, roll down the window, so as to be safe, tell the person to hang on and I'd be back with my dad, and go get him. I'm in my late 30s now, and while I had a cell phone at that time, it was a giant brick that lived in my glove box for emergencies and I don't think I ever used. Dad never seemed to mind these adventures. It was only after I was out of the house and in my 20s that I started realizing that most people do not stop and offer to help, and that my dad is in fact, even more amazing than I already realized. Shoot a gun inside the house. I grew up poor. My dad owned a single wide trailer on an acre of land. We live in Oregon, and when it got cold, he would set up a couple phone books at the end of the hallway and do some target practice. I remember having to be behind him in the living room. Definitely my favorite white trash childhood memory. Smoking at the age of 9/10. I mean, I had no idea until I was probably in my late teens that it just wasn't normal for a kid to steal smokes from their parents, older siblings and start smoking at the age of 9 or 10. Some of the kids in my neighborhood, including myself, because I was dumb, even took to buying bubble tape, which at the time came in a round canister, and shoving it in their back pocket to make it look like they had a can of Copenhagen because a lot of my friends' dads dipped as well as smoked. To be completely silent in the house. No loud noise, limited conversation, light feet, etc. I moved into my boyfriend's after college for a brief period and was shocked how much they talked to each other. Did things together. Moved in their home. It was bizarre to me. Having my mom wipe myself. Until I was like 8. Wash my 2 pairs of pants and 2 sweaters every few days, because they were the only clothes my parent had bought me for school. Eating canned button mushrooms for lunch because there was nothing else to eat in the house. Not for a lack of parental funds. Didn't realize other kids didn't live like this until I hit 13-ish. I thought everyone twitched uncontrollably when the sunlight shined through the trees in the morning on the way to school or strobe lights. Not till 14 when I had my first grand mal seizure and went to the hospital. That I thought it was normal to have older boys finding me attractive from the age of 8 to 13. Unbeknownst to me, I was sexually assaulted and abused without also realizing this doesn't happen to every girl until I was 19. And no, it isn't normal for anyone's mom to be drunk 5 out of the 7 days a week or to be taken to the bar when mom couldn't find a babysitter. As a child, my anxiety was so bad that I would become physically sick almost every single day. My mother told me it was because I was anxious, but never took me to a doctor or psychiatrist to resolve the problem. I thought it was normal to vomit at least twice a day. Later, when I told people this, they were extremely alarmed. I was shocked to discover people sometimes go years without vomiting. I thought it was normal for everyone to work as soon as they could. My parents grew up poor and until I was a sophomore in high school, so were we. The expectation was we all would do jobs, mow lawns, sell stuff, etc., and once we were old enough get actual part-time and summer jobs and contribute to the family. The upside was that we were also included in household responsibilities and conversations. We all had a stake in the family and our parents always upheld that. I remember going to school one day and them complaining about nothing to do and me going, "Oh, did you have this weekend off?" in a confused voice. Throw up pot. As a kid, whenever we were sick with the flu and thought we might throw up, we would carry around a kitchen pot with us. Sleep with it by our bed, or if we were on the couch lounging, would have it there, just in case we didn't think we could make it to the bathroom. Always a pot, never a trash can or bucket. Fast forward 20-some years and my girlfriend and one of her friends and I all go out and get hammered with a capital H. We all get back to my apartment and everyone is finding places to crash and I go into host mode thinking I am such a good host, handing them kitchen pots to sleep with, like a lunatic. Needless to say, they looked at me like I was also high in addition to being drunk. Having a birthday spanking machine in elementary school. The whole class would stand in a line with their legs spread apart. This is already sounding bad as I type it. And then the birthday boy, girl would crawl through the other kids' legs while those kids would playfully spank them as they passed. Just last month I was joking to people how weird that was. My friends said they never heard of that, nor did my older brother who went to the same school. Biting my washcloth in the bath. Having camping nights. Mom would light candles and make dinner with camping gear. She and I would play games until my bedtime, huddled up in the living room. It was because she was crazy poor when she divorced my dad and a few times she couldn't pay the electricity on time. I thought it was fun. Collecting roadkill and utilizing insects to clean the bones so I could collect them. Whispering what I just said back to myself. Apparently I did it all the time as a kid and never noticed until a couple of friends pointed it out to me. I would be like, "Let's play Barbies," and then quietly, "Let's play Barbies." I have no idea what that was about. Edited to add. Thank you for the silver. Opposite but. I had a neighbor who had extremely, and I mean extremely, strict parents. We were invited to a sleepover of about 5 or 6 girls at one of the other neighbor kids' place and she was shocked to see that we had candy and popcorn and soda, pop to eat at our disposal after 6 p.m. She had no idea. To us, it was normal sleepover snacks, but to her it was like looking at Willy Wonka himself. Crazy. Thanks for watching. See you later.